Hey guys, welcome to another edition of the Verbally Effective Podcast. I am your host, your double E, Ina Esco. This is the podcast that intersects art, culture, politics, entertainment with a Memphis focus. And we are already here 2024, and I have an amazing young lady here on the podcast with me. We met a few years back, and she is definitely still on the grind. I am talking about the CEO of Camille Leigh Photography. What's up, Camille Leigh?
How you doing?
I am good. It's been a minute. No, I saw you at the Mixer, networking Mixer.
We keep
most
running
recently.
into each other.
Yeah.
Like, hey girl, how you doing?
Hey girl, hey.
Are you still good?
Right, exactly. So you good today?
I'm good today. I'm a little tired, but we're here.
No shoots today?
No shoots. I'm winding it down. I'm pretty lax until January, then it starts hopping again.
Oh yeah.
But this is the first year. I usually take January off because the weather in Memphis is so trash, and December, November are like really hard for photographers because everybody needs something last minute. They need their family pictures, and it's like an influx. So you've got family stuff, you've got weddings. It's just a lot. Humping. It's a lot going on in December. And so by the time January gets here, it's like, I don't want to talk to nobody. The weather is trash. So usually I shut down for a month and a half, and I go somewhere else for a couple of weeks.
Sounds like somewhere tropical, maybe.
Yeah. We try to go close to the equator, somewhere where the sun's going to be out and it's warm. Like, give me a beach. So we had a big vacation at the top of the year. But this year and next year, I just told my husband, let's keep it chill because 2026 I got big plans.
That's the year, 2026.
It'll be our 10-year anniversary, so I told him I would do a month in Italy.
Oh yes, ma'am.
So I'm stacking my coins so I can do it exactly how I want to.
You're gonna do it just the way you want, Camille. Let's start at the beginning. Where are you originally from?
Memphis.
What part?
I've been around all over. So started in Westwood for about 10 years. Then we moved to Whitehaven and grew up in Whitehaven. And now, I live in Cordova.
Okay. So we're going to stick with Westwood for a minute. Tell me about growing up in Westwood, and what does your family dynamic look like?
Growing up in Westwood was fun. I went to Levi and Coral Lake. Really fun. Good years. Believe it or not, I grew up in a trailer park. Okay. For those first 10 years, and you couldn't tell me nothing. Like, my mama kept a good house. The trailer park, it was nice. There were kids around to play with. We could run because we lived all the way in the back of the trailer park. So we would have from the back to the front to play with, go knock on his friend's door. We got hills in there to play. It was just so much freedom. Yeah. It was like a nice little neighborhood that, I could ride my bike up and down. I can go get the mail at the end of the lot. I don't know how to explain it. Basically, you knew everybody. You knew the guy who was the owner. He was like an Asian guy. You go up there, he got vending machines, and it was just a whole little thing. Just looking back at it, it was like, wow, that was really different. So I didn't even know that, I didn't know the difference when I was younger, and I don't see the difference. It was still really nice.
Yeah, it sounds like, you had a great upbringing.
I can't complain. My parents are great. I didn't realize until I got older how fortunate I was to grow up with the kind of parents I did. They're both entrepreneurs. And I didn't even realize I grew up in that kind of environment where I saw my parents figuring it out, doing it for themselves, doing customer service, and being good at it. They didn't have I won't say they didn't have bad experience because, you deal with people, but they always handled it well, and they always did it to the best of their abilities. It was really great.
Are you an only child?
No.
Tell me about your siblings.
I just have one. I have my little sister. We have 5 years, 6 months in between us, which is a very difficult gap of time. I always say if you have 5 years, it makes it really hard to have that kind of age gap because it's just far enough where it's like you're too young to hang with me and my friends. So it was interesting. We had a tumultuous upbringing, us getting along because my sister was a little spoiled. But we're way better now. It took age for us to have a better relationship.
And most siblings, when there's that big age gap, because with my boys, it's a 9-year gap. So you already know.
9 isn't not. It's still funny with that because it's almost if it was a little bit bigger of a gap, your younger son will almost be like a child to your older son.
I wish.
Like it was like he took him on. Yeah, it's like it's that weird gap. Yeah. It's like he's not. If he was if the gap was a little bit bigger, it was like he took care of him more so.
Yeah, and I wish
as like a helper. But he's in that weird gap with me where it's like it just don't work sometimes. It's like they need to be closer or way further apart for them to get along better.
Yeah, and I feel like when they become adults, both of them are in that adult bracket. They'll be closer.
Yeah, they'll be fine.
Yes. Okay, so tell me what high school you attended.
I went to East High School.
Okay, East.
Yeah, I was supposed to go to Whitehaven, but there was a recruiter that came from East, and they talked about the health sciences and engineering program, and I got really interested because when I was at Lanier, I was first chair for flute, so I was like, I'm gonna go to Whitehaven. I'm gonna be in the band. Like I wanted the band life. That was me. But he came and started talking about health science, and I knew I wanted to be a doctor. So I was like, I'm going to go there. I'm going to go to the health sciences program. So that's what I did and never looked back.
Never looked back.
No, I liked it. I ended up getting a car earlier because of it.
Really?
Yeah, we lived in Whitehaven. I went to school with East.
Yeah, you needed that
car. I needed a car. So as soon as I could drive, my daddy was like, oh, here's a car. Drive yourself. So it was very interesting. Very.
Yeah. Now, you said you played the flute.
Yes.
Why the flute? That is so interesting to me. I don't think I know another flute player.
Lizzo,
yes.
I can still play too. Why did I choose the flute? Okay, so the choices I had, I almost went with violin because they had a violin program at Lanier. Didn't do that. And I tried a couple of different instruments. I tried the trumpet, didn't like the buzz it gives you. I didn't like the clarinet because of the reed. I couldn't get down with that. So flutes, I liked it. And then it just worked out.
Yeah, and look at Andre 3000 and his flute bag.
Yeah, I used to love it.
Year.
We used to get to transpose music. So we take songs, and if you give us a music book, you can look at the I forgot all the words now, but you could look at the notes and then you could know how many to count to transpose it to your instrument. So we would get modern songs and then switch them up so we could actually play them.
Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting. Now tell me about the first time you ever picked up a camera.
I always say I don't have your traditional photographer story.
Okay.
Most people will be like, oh, my father gave me a camera or my grandfather gave me a camera. That wasn't my story. I wanted to be a wedding planner / the person who does decor. So I wanted to plan the weddings and also decorate the weddings because my mom used to throw a lot of parties and I would help her decorate the parties. I would do all that stuff, the aesthetic things. And I like doing it. So I was like, I want to do this for other people. And I also want to decorate houses because I just like decorating. Funny thing, my sister now does all that stuff.
Wow.
And I don't. So to do that, I was like, okay, so I need a website. And this was like in 2011, 2012. So I didn't know who to contact to get those pictures. It wasn't as easy as it is now. Or maybe I was just lazy. I don't know. But I decided, I was like, I can do it myself. You know, I'm kind of DIY. I'm handy. So I went on Etsy, bought a $500 camera, and just start asking people to take pictures with me. I asked a friend, I was like, hey, do you know anybody who wants to have some pictures taken? I'm kind of practicing. I'll give them the pictures. And I also asked like my profile if I could take pictures of her daughter in like this tulle skirt I made so she could be a flower girl. And yeah, it was just a learning curve. I taught myself by watching YouTube videos and it just kind of snowballed from there.
Did you go down like a full rabbit hole in the whole discipline?
I guess so.
Yeah.
Yeah. It just kept snowballing. I ended up putting myself on, what's that thing? I can't remember it now. Where you get the deals, starts with an E.
Etsy?
Not Etsy.
eBay.
No.
Are we bidding? What kind of deals are we getting?
No. Whatever they used to put themselves where you would go and get deals and like I could put my service on there and you could get the deal or the experience. I forget because I haven't heard about it in so long.
They don't do it anymore?
They probably do, and I just can't remember the name of it. I keep thinking about like when Tiffany Haddish said she had a movie and she got this riverboat experience with Will Smith, and they found the deals on this platform. You know what I'm talking about? I know what
you're talking about.
I can't think of what it is.
I know what you're talking about, though.
But that was one of the things I did. I used that platform to advertise my business, and like I would say, hey, the photo sessions are $75, and I would get like maybe $30 out of it for doing this photo session. So it just kept snowballing and snowballing. I did weddings, and it just compounded and went from there.
Was it easy to get the clients initially for the weddings? Because, you know, I feel like certain people use certain people, and, you know, it's based on recommendations. Like, how did you build your clientele initially?
It's been so long, gosh darn. So I know my first wedding client, she was one of the people who modeled for me to help build my portfolio. So I did her engagement pictures, and they liked them so much. They were like, will you do our wedding? And I was like, yes. Awesome. So then I was like, okay, never do what I did. So I gave her a proposal, and I proposed to her that I could do her decor and her photos
for a certain amount.
It was only like $2,500. And I was like, okay, so we're gonna set up the decor, and we're gonna break it down at the end of the night, and I'll also do your photos. I don't know how I thought I was gonna do all this stuff. And like I came to the meeting, and I had a little mock-up of what one of the table elements would look like, and I was like, do this, and she's like, well, we can just do photo. And I was like, okay, great. And I'm so glad I never sold that package and never did that. But yeah, I did her wedding, I want to say for like $1,500. And I never recommend anyone to do it like I did it, because I did my first wedding without ever second shooting for any other photographer, without assisting, with no experience. It was just, I got my camera. Okay, I've studied. I know what I'm going there and do, and I did it. Luckily.
Was it hard?
It was hard, but it turned out great. Like, there's still really good pictures. Like, really good. I was the luckiest son of a gun ever, because that does not happen. The only big faux pas I said that I really did, other than that being my first wedding, and I never second shot for someone, like I said, never do what I did. My line sister, Tracy, she was in town, and I asked her, I was like, hey, can you come help me shoot this wedding? So she came for the ceremony, and I just put a camera in her hands. And I told her, and I actually put her at the front of the aisle, which is where you usually put your main shooter. I should have been at the front. And I was in the back of the aisle getting people as they come in. And it was just interesting, because it's basically like me handing you a camera and say, get some pictures.
Yeah. You had to go through it, though.
That's not responsible, but I didn't know those things then.
Yeah.
But after that, I started meeting up with other people in the photography community. Like, hey, can I come help you at a wedding? Can I come second shoot? Because one, I need to build my portfolio, and I needed to learn, and I wanted to learn from other people. So it just snowballed, and then from there you get recommendations from posting things online. People find you, and a big way that I've got and maintained business over the years has been from referrals and word of mouth. I'm really big on client experience. I tell people that I don't believe that anything about planning a wedding and taking pictures has to be complicated or hard, especially when you have communication. Yeah. Like, that's really important. I tell my clients, I'm like, if you want to work with me, I need you to be honest with me. I need you to be open with me. Like, no one has ill intentions. And I don't have thin skin. So if you have a thought, just tell me. We'll work it out. I'll tell you if we can do it, the pros and cons, and we'll go from there. If I can't do it or won't do it, I will let you know.
And weddings are your forte, your expertise, your fave. Is that correct?
Yes. I also really love branding photos. So I say I go back and forth between weddings and branding stretches into like commercial work. So that's where I go back and forth, and I dibble and dabble some in studio creative work is what I'm trying to do. But most people know me for weddings, and they're like, you do weddings? Oh, and they'll ask, I know you only do weddings, but can you do this? I'm like, I can do other things, but these are the things I like to kind of stay in. So.
Yeah. And how would you describe your style, Camille?
My style is definitely clean, vibrant, and fun, and portrait. Like, I'm very much a portrait shooter for sure.
Yeah. you have some beautiful photos.
Thank you.
Like the aesthetics, it's just like you said, clean, just elegant. Like, I don't know. It just sticks out to me when I see your photos versus maybe a few others, right? That may have your I guess traditional, typical type looks. Do you like to take risks when you shoot?
No. I'm not a risk taker per se. Okay. I say I'm a type B with type A tendencies.
Okay.
So I'm chill, but I can have a takeover spirit when it comes to, okay, let's do this and do this right. Mm-hmm. So I firmly believe in like having a plan, doing the logistics. I make it look like I'm just like, but no, I thought this out. Mm-hmm. And I want to, it's because weddings are so much of a production sometimes. Mm-hmm. You have to just be a little regimented and manage it. And that's just my personality too. I'm not a creative type, even though I do this creative work.
Planner.
Yeah, I'm very much so a planner. And I always tell people I've always felt like that I'm not a creative, but I am. It's the weirdest thing.
You are.
I am, but I always feel like I'm the more logical. I'm not a person that just, I breathe art. And then I have to work for it. I have to prep. I have to think about things. And maybe I think about it a little too much, but that's just how I come at it. And I have to work a little bit harder to emote those things or to play or to just improvise. Like, it doesn't really come natural to me.
Wow, interesting. Now, you've been in this field, or you've had this business for how long now?
Oh gosh, we're coming up on 12 years.
12 years.
So we're at the end of the year, about to start. It's about to be 12 years.
Wow. Tell me about your experience with the greenhouse. Bridal lounge. No, I'm sorry.
Beauty lounge.
Beauty lounge. Mm-hmm. Greenhouse Beauty Lounge.
Greenhouse Beauty Lounge has been a blessing. It has been a learning curve. It has really opened doors and introduced me to a ton of different people that I never would have met, or maybe it would have taken a lot longer to meet. Mm-hmm. But it's definitely, I feel like it's been like college, because I've had roommates. I've had suite mates. Mm-hmm. We've grown up together. We've done business together. We've done a lot. So it's definitely taught me some lessons, taught me how I want to continue to do things and things I don't want to do. So it's definitely helped me grow up, because when I went to college, I was still at home. So I wasn't, around dorm mates, suite mates. I never had to share a space per se. So it's definitely taught me a lot of things, and it's birthed some beautiful work. Anytime people come into Greenhouse, we get a couple of different reactions. A lot of people have like a sense of calm that will come over them, and like, oh my God, this is so nice. When we first opened it, it was a big joke that people would come into Greenhouse and you couldn't come into Greenhouse without crying, because they would feel so open and so vulnerable between like the design and the plants and the atmosphere that we provide. And then when you go to the back to the photo session, they'd be like, oh my God, this looks like a hotel.
Wow.
So it's been a beautiful thing.
Yes. And you know what I love about you, Camille? You are giving back, passing the torch, building community. Why is that so important to you?
I never thought, but I don't think about it often. But I want to say that when I first started off, it was a little discouraging trying to reach out for help. There was someone that I really, really looked up to, and I sent this I thought it was a great email. I sent a great email. I was like, hey, my name is such and such, I really love your work. I attached some of my photos that I've been doing, and I said, hey, I would love to, mentor under you. I don't know if that costs money or if you take on interns. I would carry bags, And I never heard anything back from this person. Ever.
And you weren't expecting that?
No, I didn't. And I did that to a couple of different people, and I got the same no response. And it was really disheartening. And I want to say when I started, there was a little bit of that. Like, people didn't want to tell you what was going on. They didn't really want to help you. So when I found people that would take me under my wing, like, I respected that. And I was so grateful for what they gave to me. So I always said that if I was ever so fortunate to be able to help others, that I would. And I'm not trying to gatekeep anything, because you're not going to do it like me and I'm not going to do it like you.
Right.
But like, help other people. And I know in the future I want to do something with kids, especially in Memphis, to give them a different option, to tell you that like, there's something else. There's different things you can do. You don't have to just stay in your same environment. And I know the things around you might seem bleak or like, I just know this world, there's other options. Yeah. Like once you travel or once you get a different perspective, I think that you can really open those doors and change people's minds. So yes. I've always liked that.
Wow. Well, Camille Leigh, we are going to take a short break.
Alrighty.
But when we come back, we're going to jump into Esco's Pop Talk because I hear you're a member of the Beehive.
Yes.
Okay, Beehive. And we're going to talk about some Spitfire questions as well. Hold on, guys. We'll be right back with the amazing photographer queen, CEO of Camille Leigh Photography, Camille Leigh. We'll be right back. Verbally Effective. Hey guys, welcome back to the Verbally Effective Podcast with your double E, Ina Esco, and the CEO of Camille Leigh Photography in the building. Camille, let's get into the logistics, the teamwork involved in putting shoots together. What have been some of your most memorable?
Oh, gosh. Everything has a story, and logistics and teamwork are my favorite things, because if you do good teamwork and logistics, like whatever you're doing or whatever you're trying to execute, it's going to be great. You just have to communicate with each other. So as far as like you said, what are the favorite things I've done?
What have been your most memorable? Because you've shown me quite a few shoots and a few reels off of social media from your experiences that you've had. The Atlanta experience, the Utah experience. Let's talk about Atlanta.
Okay. Atlanta was a whirlwind. We planned for it and we knew it was going to be a quick execution and turnaround. But then life threw us crazy plans. All of our flights except one person, they were all pushed to the back. And it taught us to maybe give ourselves a little more time. Yeah. But the plan was just to go to Atlanta for about 48 hours and do a quick shoot, like a turn and burn, because we have a great team. We already knew we were going to go in, execute, roll out. Our flights had different plans. So we ended up getting to Atlanta around like 8:00, and we were supposed to be there like around 10. The plan was to arrive, go to the showroom, find clothes for our model. And then based on the clothes, we would decide her hair and makeup. Since our flights were late, and we were supposed to shoot the next day, that didn't work. So what happened was we got to Atlanta. Our hairstylist, Rochelle, made the decision to go ahead and do her hair a certain way. They start prepping. They start doing her hair. Kimberly gave her start off with like, regular base, get the makeup, the face prepped. And then we went to the showroom to find out what she was going to wear the day of the shoot, hours before the shoot.
Wow.
So once we found out what she was going to wear, Kimberly finished off her makeup look. We quickly ran to the local mall to get jewelry and accessories to complement the looks that we had, and then went to our 3 different locations. So it was not expected, but the one saving grace that I knew that was going to help and save the shoot was because we had an amazing team. Everyone excelled at what they did, and they did it well. Like why I'm so comfortable in doing logistics is because I know who to bring in for the team. So if you bring in the person who knows how to do hair, knows how to do makeup, the stylist, and you let them work in their element and let them handle it how they know they can, you can't fail. So you just have to let people do their jobs.
Yes.
And roll with it.
Wow. So that was 48 hours.
It was 48 hours, yeah.
But you got her done.
We got it done.
We got it done.
We got it done.
Wow. And that was a beautiful shoot.
Thank you.
That was amazing.
We loved it.
Yes.
It was
great
artistically
teamwork.
satisfying.
Yes. And when you think about the entire photography space, let's talk about the type of money that you can make in this world. On average, what does that look like?
Everybody's different. Like, you can make so much money. I like to think that it's not hard to make money. You just have to have an idea. You have to have some sweat equity, and then you can get stuff done. Like an idea will make you money, but you have to be able to execute and put those things into place. So there really isn't a limit. The people that I look up to and admire, I've done an estimate on a low ball. Like if I take their lowest package and they told me they book X amount of weddings per year, it's people making close to $500,000 on the low end. That's the estimate. That's not including they've done this shoot over here or they've done this gig. That's just like, I've done this amount of weddings and my lowest package is this.
Yeah.
So
wow.
You can make what you want to make. It's your business. So
who is someone that you look up to in this industry?
I have so many people I look up to. Oh gosh. So Katie Mary is a photographer. Are we talking just photographers?
That's fine. Yeah.
Okay. Just photographers. Katie Mary. I love Reem. He's awesome. Joshua Darwin is great, and those are just a couple. I look up to so many different photographers. I have friends in Atlanta that I talk to now and then that are amazing. I look up to them. I look up to local artists here, but those are like the three big ones that I look up to. Oh, and darn, I can't think of her name right now. I'm not gonna say it, but yeah, I have so many people I look up to. The list is long.
Yes, I bet it is. And just thinking about 365-day calendar year. And I know that has its ups and downs depending on weather, depending on, just activities for that month. What does a typical year look like for you? When are you your busiest? When are you your slowest? How does that look?
Oh gosh, you have to set your year up how you want to. Because typically I don't like to work in Januaries. This year I'm going to work in January. But you have to know your ebbs and flows and when you need to say no and when you can take work. Because if you're constantly taking work, you'll be burnt out. That's why I knew at some point January, half of February, I got to stop, recoup, get the admin together so you can have better communication and a better client experience for your clients. Because if you're constantly taking on work, the rubber's gonna meet the road eventually. So typical photographer, I'm gonna say typical wedding photographer because that's what I'm more familiar with. You have ebbs and flows throughout the year. The first 3 months are usually a little slow because it's cold. There aren't that many weddings that are planned in January through March here. But April, May, they start to kick up quite a bit. So you can have anywhere from 3 to 7 weddings per month, depending on how you work. People are starting to be a lot more smarter about summer weddings. And me personally, I won't take too many because I know how I sweat and we don't do that. So June, July, August, you might have, well, it depends on the photographer. I typically do 1 to 2 at the most per month. I don't want too many summer weddings. It's not comfortable. But September, it starts to pick up. October is completely bananas.
October's bananas.
October is a good month to have weddings. It's starting to be the new June because June in Memphis doesn't make sense. It's too hot. So October is a more feasible month because it's a little cooler and the vegetation still looks good. So you can have an outside wedding. You can be cooler when you take pictures. So October, I have some years where I am booked every single weekend, sometimes double and triple. Because I'm crazy. So October, you can always count on it to be a heavy hitter month. September is usually pretty heavy. November, half and half. December, I usually slow down and I'll have a couple of weddings. But for my December, personally, it picks up because I have mini sessions that I've done for the past 3 years with Tyron of Wells Event Design. So we've done that in collaboration with Greenhouse Beauty Lounge, and that's been an amazing experience. So that keeps me busy in November, December for sure. Which is another reason why January is like, don't talk to me. But yeah, in December, November, you'll see a lot of posts where people are like, please be patient with your photographers.
Yeah.
They've got a lot of edits. They want to spend time with their family too, because it is a very high quantity time. And also another thing about December that I've noticed is that the consumer base, wants everything very, very, very quickly, and they're very, very
They want a
last
quick
minute.
turnaround
They're last minute too. It's like they want quick and they're last minute. I'm like, you can have that, but you got to pay for it.
Okay.
But you'll have someone to contact you on December 1st. Like, hey, I need Christmas pictures. Can we do it in 3 days? I need them back like at the end of the session.
No.
I'm being a little. I'm exaggerating just a little
Gotcha.
bit, but yeah, you have to have those boundaries and just be prepared and just know that it's gonna be a little crazy. So.
Wow.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the podcast. Pop the question. Tell me about how this podcast idea was formed and what's the premise of it?
Okay, so my podcast is called Pop the Question, and it is a podcast that I decided to do with my planner friend, Kathleen of Pineapple Processions. We both are very passionate about making sure that we take care of our couples and that we educate them along the way. Like, I've always been really passionate about educating people when it comes to the process, because you have so many couples that'll come in and they'll say, oh, we've never gotten married before. We have no idea what we're doing. That's totally fine. That's why you bring in a team that can help you and that will guide you along the way. So a big reason why I want to do the podcast was it's a complete bummer for me when it's about a couple of weeks out from the wedding and my couples are like, we just want it over with. I'm like, no, you spent too much money. This is your wedding. You're supposed to have fun. What's wrong? Like, why are you not happy? Why do you want your wedding to be over with? And they'll say, it's just too stressful. I didn't know anything about this. My family's stressing me out. And this is happening with this vendor, and I didn't know this was going to cost this much. And it all came back to education and people just not knowing things. And I found over the 12 years I've been doing this, that when you just educate someone about the process or give them different options, it alleviates some of that stress. And also, when I was getting married, I was going to the bridal shows. Like, I was already in the wedding industry, but I was a bride. So I want to go to the bridal show. I want to talk to the vendors. And I would go to these shows and I'd be like, this is all fluff. This isn't helping me. Like, what? I don't want to see a bridal runway and all this stuff. There was no education. They weren't helping these girls. They were just trying to sell to them blindly and wondering why they were having hell as them being clients, but they were uneducated clients. So they were coming to them unprepared. They were coming to them uneducated. And both of them were having a bad time. The vendor wasn't happy. The bride wasn't happy. The couple wasn't happy. And I was like, if they just came to the vendor more educated, they would come with more respect. They would come just more prepared. And I feel like both parties would have a good time. So all that, I was like, let's do a podcast. Isn't that a unique idea? So we bit the bullet and went ahead and did it. And we're a little over 18 episodes in. My big goal starting off was like, let me just get to 30. So I can build some consistency, get it under my belt, and we'll learn along the way. Because we actually start talking about it, was it 2021? I'm not sure. But we talked about it. We recorded a couple episodes and kind of put it on pause for a while. And then we eventually came back to it and finally we're like, let's just launch the thing. Let's just get it out there. So we
execute.
So we have some accountability. We have to do it. Let's just do it. So that's kind of where I am right now. We're just doing it. We're figuring out how we want to do it, how we want the layout to be, and just going to learn as we go. So
love it. Love it. Pop the Question podcast. They can check this podcast out on all streaming platforms.
Yes, definitely.
Gotcha. Okay, so let's get into some Esco's Pop Talk first. Let's get into Esco's Pop Talk because Camille, I hear, is a member of the Beehive, a huge Beyonce fan. Am I correct?
Yes, I get so nervous when, because people always assume the Beehive and Beyonce fans, like, them feels crazy. No.
You're not one of those.
I ain't about to leave no bees on people's accounts trying to troll them, but...
But you are a huge fan.
Yeah, I'm a fan. I'm also not the fan that gets mad if you're not. I raise my eyebrow if you don't like Beyonce. Like, why you don't like Beyonce? What? Why don't you like
not
Beyonce?
Like Beyonce, right?
Some people just give you some answers. You're like, okay, girl, I don't feel like it. Go ahead. That's fine.
Have you ever met Beyonce?
Yes.
When? Where? How?
777. That's the only way I remember that. My mom reminds me. I was in college. Beyonce was coming to Memphis, and I was like, Mama, you want to go? She was like, yeah, I want to go. So at the time, we put it on credit cards. They're like $800 a piece for these tickets, which was a lot then.
We going CB.
But it got us backstage passes, front row, center stage seats.
Ooh, la la.
So we met Beyonce, and it was around the time when she had done, I think, Dangerously in Love, and she had just did Dreamgirls. Mm-hmm. So that body was like snatched. Mm-hmm. It still is, but she had been dieting. But it was so funny when I saw her, I was like, she looks like a doll. She was tall, so skinny, like she was so tiny. And she was so nice. Like at the time, I really liked wearing those, those flower pins that we wear in our hair. And I wore like a golden tan one. And she complimented me backstage. She's like, oh, I really like your flowers doing like this. Wow. I was like, oh, thank you so much. And I was so proud of myself. I didn't fan out. I treated her like a normal person. I was like, look at me. And then I had my little moment when she was on the stage. She saw me down at the front. She was like, girl. Oh. And I was like, oh. That's when I lost my mind. I was like, she remembered. She remembered that she put. Wow. I was like, girl, thank you. Thank you, Beyonce.
That is amazing. So it's safe to assume that you've been to the Renaissance tour.
Yes, I went twice.
Twice?
I would have went 5 times if I could have.
Tell me about the first one. Where did you go?
First time we went in Minneapolis.
Okay.
I wasn't the biggest fan of my seats. They were not bad seats. We were really close to the stage, like 10 rows up or so. So we had a good view. I got a good footage. But I wasn't happy that I couldn't see the center of the stage because, Beyonce does the visuals. So I couldn't put all of it together. So for that one, and I was just in awe about everything that was going on. Like I could see behind the stage a little bit. You could see the crew doing their thing. I didn't notice she had a teleprompter up there. There's a teleprompter directly in front of her. You can't see it when you're sitting at different angles, but because of where I was sitting, she has a teleprompter that helps her with the words. Not that she needs it, but hey, every single word was up there, and it would pause for her. It was so interesting watching how that happened and seeing the behind the stage, seeing the crew work. And with this tour, she made it very intentional to make sure that she highlighted her crew members with like how they dress, so it was really easy to spot them. I just loved watching it. So I was just sitting mostly like in awe watching, like my eyes going back and forth, like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. Okay. All right. I see that. Oh my, and just the visual effects of everything. So my friends that went with me, they were like, are you okay? They thought I was mad or I wasn't having a good time. I was like, yeah, I'm good. And I was like, just looking around. I was enamored by
side of it.
And I felt validated because I saw Oprah went to one of her shows and she was the same way. She was like, I was just looking at everything in awe. Like I wasn't cheering. I was just looking at it.
It's like a huge production.
It is amazing. Did you go to the show?
I have not. But I can tell that it takes a lot of moving parts. A huge team.
If you saw the Renaissance film, she said that she had 3 stages in rotation at one time. So while she was at one show, the other 2 stages were at the next 2 shows getting set up. So that's crazy. And I knew the number at one point of how many people she had, but I want to say it was over 500 people that were involved, that were on tour with her. And you've got media, you've got the people that sew, you've got the gaff, all the people, the dancers,
choreographers,
the makeup artists, the hairstylists, you've got the legal team that goes with them. And the older I get and the more into production I get, I'm one of those people now that I watch the credits because I'm like, oh my God, I want to see what it takes to put this together, because on a small scale, I do something similar on a very small scale, but just looking at it, you're like, oh my God, they need all these people. Okay. And it kind of helps you see what is needed to put together these.
Great inspiration for you.
Beautiful.
In your business.
Beautiful. Yes.
So first Renaissance show, you went to Minneapolis. Where was the second?
Second one, I went to St. Louis and I went with my mom and my sister.
Okay.
And the second one, I'd already seen it. I had a different outfit, a better one than I liked my first outfit. And so the second one was like a show. I wasn't I was still enamored, but I was just enjoying myself for that one. And it was more laid back. So I had to see it first and I was just in awe. And then I got to experience it.
I wonder what B is bringing in 2024. What you think?
I don't know. I never try to assume with Beyonce.
I know.
I just sit back and let myself be wild and enjoy the experience.
Yeah, she's going to give you that wow factor.
I'm just excited. Like I tell my friends, you have to just have a Beyonce fund. Like, I need you to have $1,500 to $2,000 in a fund to the side at all times, because when it happens, we're going to happen.
It just drops.
We just have to do it.
Look, we were going over like a year in review for pop culture on the morning show. And it was like top of the year, maybe the end of Q3, maybe March, Beyonce announced the Renaissance tour. Then she was in Stockholm. Then she came to the States. You know, it was just kind of like every month there was a piece of Beyonce in there.
Hold on. I think it was, I know this for a fact, it was top of February. Because my original plan was to go out of the country to go to a Beyonce concert, because
a lot of people were saying that
you can get better seats. Like, you pay $400, you probably got a floor seat, center stage, versus in the States you paying $800, $1,300. But you might as well go to Barcelona. Well, you go to Paris. I want to go to Paris and get a good seat and just have a good experience. But at the time, I was out of the country when the tickets dropped, and I couldn't get the tickets that I wanted to. So I just said, whatever, I guess I'm not going to do it, because I think they thought I was a bot because of where I was. They're like, no, you're not buying a ticket. I was so upset.
There was so much controversy surrounding the ticketing process as well.
It was. Yeah. I almost didn't get one for the States because like, I'm not about to wait in no line and do all this stuff. Very stupid of me. I shouldn't have said that. But my sister was the one that got my tickets from Minneapolis. She was like, Minneapolis on sale today. I was like, okay, give me 4 tickets. And she's like, okay. So my sister got the tickets for me. And that's how I got tickets, because I was like, I ain't gotta go. I ain't about to do no wait list and you email me back and all this stuff. I ain't got time for that. So I'll try to have more patience later for that. But yeah.
But you were happy.
I was very happy. Yes. I'm so happy I went. Yes. I shouldn't have been.
Come on,
so
Beehive.
Stubborn.
Come on, Beehive.
I think it was the combination of when I was out of the country, I couldn't get the tickets I wanted, and then I'm back in and we gotta do this wait list. I'm just. Yeah.
Yes. And I'm sure Beyonce just in itself, she's a huge inspiration for, like, she's probably her costumes, her outfits, maybe just different scenes you've seen from Renaissance have inspired what you do with your work in photography and with weddings. And do you suggest different things based on what you saw at the Renaissance? Have you made any suggestions on a consultation yet?
Beyonce inspired things for weddings for consultations. Not yet, but you've got me intrigued. I'm wondering how I can introduce that in. I don't know. If anything, I think it's just the concerts just gave me more drive for making sure you prep and take your time and execute and ask for what you want and what you need, and don't be afraid to do so. Yep. So she inspires me in those ways, because, you know, she takes her time and curates it and puts the vision together. So I've been inspired to do more of that. Like, I'm already kind of piecing together the vision of what I want to do for like my little play projects for 2024. So I'm kind of pondering on that right now.
Okay. Well, I'm looking forward to seeing what that looks like. Camille Leigh, time for some Spitfire questions. Are you ready?
Sure. Let's give it a go.
All right. First question. Let's see. What has been the most unique location that you've ever shot in, and where has that been?
To date, I would say when we went to Utah to do our Salt Flats photo shoot. The location was just beautiful, out in the middle of nowhere, which presented its own interesting challenges. But what was crazy about that shoot was I had planned on it being, because Utah has a rainy season and a dry season. The pictures you saw, they looked like the dry season, but it was supposed to be the rainy season. Like, I was supposed to have water. So the ground was supposed to be reflective because it was supposed to be covered in a couple of inches of water.
Oh, really?
So when we got there and we were driving to scout it out the day before just to see and plot where we're going to be, I was like, it's looking kind of dry out here. Like, there was some spots where you would see there were like pools of water out there, but that wasn't where we were shooting. When we got there, I was like, there's no water here. What's going on? So that was a little bit of a downer, but we still had a great shoot. The location is still beautiful. And I love it for how the salt looks and the ridges, and it just has its own beauty. Am I a little salty that that I didn't get the water and the reflectiveness that I wanted? A little bit. I'm gonna go back and get what I want because I want both. But yeah, that has been the most unique location to date, and I'm looking for my couples and different people to bring me out to other locations. So maybe I can update you next time.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Tell me about favorite photography accessory that you cannot live without.
Oh gosh, I don't know, Ina. No, wait.
Are there a few?
There's a few. I don't know.
No?
I don't know. There's so many. Okay, my current one I have right now, I'm trying it out. It's a Kindly bag. It's a sling.
Kindly bag.
Yeah, it's from a company called Kindly. It's a sling that you can wear on your front or your back. You can just swing it to the front or the back, and you can hold a camera in it. And you can also attach your camera to it as well. So you can sling it back to your back, but the camera is still hooked onto it. So for me, when I'm doing like little simple things like an engagement session, I don't want to bring my big old rolling bag. I can just have an extra lens on me at all times and have my camera hooked up. So that, off the top of my head, I guess, but I know I'm going to regret this later. That's the most recent thing that I'm loving.
Because you've tried quite a few.
I've tried quite a few. I have quite a few.
I can imagine. What's your go-to lens for everyday shooting?
I've been favoring a 85 lately, just because I love the compression.
Okay.
I change up every couple of years as far as like what my favorite is. Now, when I'm shooting weddings, I have a formula of what I use. But like if I could just have my pick and just have one lens on me, I prefer 85. The only downside is you kind of have to know how to move with it because it's so tight. Like me sitting right here, I can't shoot an 85 right here. I'm too close. I got to back up. So you have to make sure you have the room to use it.
Girl, I've been learning a lot about lenses working with Mike Evans. He has quite a few lenses and, you know, he'll change them out, put them on the cameras. And I'm just, what does that do? You know, he was like, oh, we can't shoot with that because you're too close. And, you know, all the things that you guys know, all the things. So let's talk about what is the most challenging shoot that you've ever had and why?
Most challenging shoots.
For whatever reason. It could have been weather. It could have been a bridezilla.
I'll tell you about a wedding
Okay.
that was challenging to do. And I'll say it was challenging because none of the vendors, including myself, were paid their final balance before they arrived.
What? Let's talk about it.
And we were all like, did you get paid? Did you get
For
paid?
a wedding?
We did not get paid. So, and in my contract and in a lot of wedding vendors' contracts, it does say if you don't pay me your final balance, I don't have to come. So we all showed up in good faith because we're not just horrible people. And we still performed the wedding. I have a caveat that a lot of my other fellow vendors don't have.
In your contract.
Well, being a photographer, I can show up and shoot your wedding, but
you ain't gonna get them pictures. Okay, gotcha.
You probably won't get nothing until you pay me. So with this particular person, I didn't even start the editing process until the payment was made, which was 3 months after the wedding.
No.
Yeah.
Was this a recent wedding?
No, this is years ago.
Oh, wow.
This is years ago that this happened. So that was pretty difficult. And then the day itself was interesting because of they weren't timely and they weren't really listening, but it made sense because of how things had gone.
Yeah.
So it definitely taught me a lot of things.
Yes.
But the thing about it is that specific situation, you can't really prepare for it. So it's like either someone pays you, but that's the only time that's ever happened. Will it ever happen again? I don't know. But same thing, you still won't get any pictures from me if I show up. So
Okay. Wow. Now, if you could photograph any celebrity, who would it be? I kind of feel like it's gonna be B, but it may be somebody else.
B is on the list. B is definitely on the list. So I have aspirations to do production work. So I really look up, I didn't say this before. I really look up to ABDM Studios. They are studio photographers out of Atlanta. They do amazing, beautiful work. You've seen their work everywhere. I know you have. And they work with so many different celebrities. And I would love to do work like that. And not just because you're working with celebrities, like, oh, celebrities. When you work with a team like that, they come in with their people. You have your creative director, you have your stylist, you have the vision, you have the budget. And so you're able to do so much more. So to answer your question, because I want to do that. I have a little mini list. So it's like Beyonce, Issa Rae, Oprah, Michelle Obama. These might sound a little cliche, but these are the people I want to work with. But yeah, I have an affinity for powerful women. Like I adore powerful women and women who are very confident. Anna Wintour, women who have blazed the path for themselves and they do what they want to do and they try different things. And that's another reason why I feel like I don't technically have. I've never ran into a bridezilla per se because I favor communication. I do my best to talk to you, to make sure we'll get along, to hear what your expectations are of me, and to let you know what I can provide. So where some people might think a person is difficult, I may just think she's a boss. Okay. And she knows what she wants. This is how she wants it done, and these are her expectations. And I love working with people who know what they want. I typically don't like to work with people like, oh, whatever you want. I don't know. Oh, my God, I can't decide. I do not like flaky people and people who can't decide. So I work better with a boss type, entrepreneur or businesswoman. So I love working with those kind of people. So anyone that's businesswoman about their stuff.
That's probably why you haven't met, too many bridezillas around here.
I just talk to you straight. Either we get along or we don't. We don't have to work together. It's okay.
Yeah. So. What's next for Camille Leigh Photography?
Oh, I am doing my best to break into education. I'm doing my best to do like self-work on myself and be a better communicator so I can have better relationships with my peers. I can have better relationships with my clients so they're comfortable. But I really want to help people through information. So whatever that looks like via the podcast, via the fireside chat, maybe with me doing speaking engagements here and there. That's where I want to do because I know I don't want to retire in photography per se, like the physical act of it, because it's a lot. So I would love to have a team that is more so under my direction and handling the day-to-day and the more physical aspect of it for me to be more like a consultant in that manner, but I can go off and be the information educator person. So that's kind of what I'm doing. And I have some things that I'm working on that I have a 4-year timeline on it, but I'll let you know about that.
Yeah,
I have aspirations.
I know you do. I know you do, Camille. And, I love your work and, what you're doing with building community in the photography space, in the creative space. You do a lot of collaborating, which is great. You like boss women. I do too. I just wish you the best in everything that you're doing. Any final words for the verbally effective audience?
Final words. Don't be afraid to communicate. I'll say that.
And you're an excellent communicator.
Thank you.
Yes, you are.
It is taking a lot of practice and I learn every day. So I would just say, well, when it comes to like the photography, the vendor world, just make sure you talk to people. I've noticed so much that people hold on to frustrations. They make themselves physically ill. They go and be like, oh, this person don't like me or everybody against me. Like, I don't think that's maybe the case. Have you talked to the person? So I try to do my best to make sure that I communicate with people I know and don't know, just to make sure we're all on the same page and we're all being mature adults who want the best for everybody. So talk to people, learn how to communicate with people again instead of just being in your own bubble and assuming things. I think it'll make us all happier.
Yes, ma'am. Well, thank you so much, Camille, for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
Yes. And I'm going to check out Pop the Question podcast. I need you guys to check out the pod as well. It sounds like she is educating in every way in that podcast. And also hit her up. You getting married? Are you looking for a photographer for your branding? Call my girl Camille
Yes, Brandon.
Leigh.
Yes.
Yes, Brandon.
So when are you coming to help? When are you coming here doing your branding?
Because I need to.
I mean, if you want to play, we can play.
Let's play.
Let's
should play before my birthday.
Like, I'm serious. It ain't just a podcast.
I know. And it needs to be done.
When's your birthday?
March 12th.
So we need to talk now.
Yes. So when we turn these microphones off, we're going to put a date on it.
Okay. I love dates and times. I love dates and times. I love them.
I remember when I first met you, we said the same thing, but it was my fault. But yeah, it's time. I got a lot of things popping right now. So I need to get it together.
We can do that. I'm working in January.
Okay, you said you was working in
I
January.
am working in
now.
January. Lord Jesus, help
So
me.
we're going to work in January. We're going to put a date on it. But thank you so much, Camille, for joining me today on the podcast. I know you're inspiring so many women out here.
Thank you.
And the fireside chats, you know, like I said, you look like you have a very diverse set of people there and all your different vendors. And
Yeah.
it just looks so beautiful and different.
It's
I
fun. The
love
city
it.
is diverse. The city
Yes.
is so diverse. It doesn't look one way. And
Yeah.
America is so diverse. So you have to bring in different perspectives so you can understand different things.
True. Well, ladies and gentlemen, please, how can everybody follow you and contact you for, you know, your services?
All right. So everything is Camille Leigh. So it's Camille Leigh Photo, and Camille is Camille. Leigh is Leigh, not Lee. So Camille Leigh Photo on Instagram, CamilleLeigh.com. If you want the phone number, 901-210-1772. That is the business line. I'll get back to you in business hours. Other than that, you can hit me up in DMs. I would love for you to send me an inquiry. That's always the best way. Our office manager get back to you. Otherwise, can't wait to talk.
All right. Big shout outs to my girl, photographer extraordinaire, branding guru. I'm talking about Camille Leigh. And thank you all for tuning in yet again to the Verbally Effective Podcast. Make sure you hit that subscribe button on that Ina Esco channel and all social media platforms for Verbally Effective. I'll see you guys next week.
This is the Spotlight Podcast Network.